Welcome to the You Are the Universe podcast. I'm your host, Victoria Haffer, intuitive healer and holistic life and body coach with over 20 years of facilitating massive transformation for women and animals. And I'm so flippin' glad you're here. Today's topic is 7 ways to love your body and heal body shame. So this is a really important topic for me. Actually, I would say probably most of the stuff that I talk about are things that I've experienced myself. But body shaming and not totally loving our bodies is we know there's an epidemic of this out there, especially for women and young girls. However, you know, it really affects so many aspects of our life. And body love and healing body shame is crucial for truly for women's empowerment and stop sovereignty, stepping into their personal power, your personal power, right? So when you don't love and respect yourself, it affects all aspects of your life, including your love life, your sex life, your bank account, your parenting, as well as how you show up in your business, right? In the boardroom. So really all aspects of our life are affected by this underlying feeling that we don't love, appreciate, and adore our own vessel, our body, right? And then sometimes the shame that can be connected to that, maybe from childhood or even as we got a little bit older. So I do want to share with you, I'm going to get a little personal and a little vulnerable here, but some of you might know this already, but I have actually healed myself from an eating disorder. So when I was younger, I remember, being it probably started when I was a teen. It always starts at a young age, but what I can recall as a teenager and often, comparing my body to other young girls, right, and other women. I always had this obsession with breasts, and it was kind of interesting because I didn't bloom that at a very young age, and I never really fully bloomed. I always had a small breast, and so I would always be a kind of like just obsessed a little bit about other women's breasts in that way when I was younger, and wish I had something that I didn't. And I just never really felt good about my body, the different parts of my body that, my breasts were too small and my thighs were too big. And anyways, if any of you can relate to that. And so in my late teens, early 20s, I started taking part in an often daily ritual of eating compulsively, so mindlessly eating. And of course, it's always foods, processed foods, cereal and potato chips and ice cream and candy. Yeah, I know. For those of you who know me now and know how I really covet and what I put into my body, but I wasn't a health coach at that time. I was actually into fitness, but I wasn't as aware of how what we ate affected every aspect of our lives. So I would pretty much be very obsessive and mindlessly eat large amounts of food. And then after that, I would take part in what we call compulsive over exercising. So you would call that bulimia, right? So I basically took part in bulimic, uh, the characteristics of what bulimia would be, which is basically an obsessive cycle of overeating, eating incredible amounts of food, binging, as we would call it, and then purging. Now, purging, I never stuck my finger down my throat or used a spoon or anything, but the way I purged was through exercise. So there's different ways of purging in that space, and so it took me a little bit of time, but eventually I did fully heal myself from that very toxic behavior. And it started with many of the things that I'm going to share with you today in this podcast. Yeah, so let's get started. So 7 ways to love your body and heal body shame. And so I put together all my tools and techniques and all the things that I've done over the course of many years to heal myself and to support in healing my clients as well. Right? I've worked with a number of hundreds and hundreds of women to heal, teach them how to truly love their body and heal their body shame. So number one, shift your mindset around around this idea of what true beauty is. When I remember when I was younger, it was, where did we get to see the beautiful people? At least what we thought were beautiful. It was the magazines, and it was, there wasn't social media when I was younger. I'm going to date myself here. But mainly it would be the TV, movies, and definitely magazines. I was a big magazine person. So, the societal standards of what beauty was. And I didn't even know about, airbrushing and, photoshopping in those days. So, and really how this creates unrealistic expectations of how, just looking at the normal, healthy, average, beautiful body, right? Like someone like Marilyn Monroe as opposed to Twiggy, right? So, some of the actresses and the models, and, I didn't find out until later that many of those women, young women, how they got to that was from starving themselves, right? It wasn't a normal expectation that we would have on your typical standard, healthy, beautiful, right, woman's body. And so really I encourage you to redefine beauty, in your own personal terms, and how beauty is unique and diverse, really in the eyes of the beholder, right? And within ourselves. So yes, so each step, each tool, each mindset factor that I'm going to speak today about in the podcast is going to also be followed by a self-love practice that I'm going to recommend for you. So, if you're driving, listen to it. Maybe later you can listen to this again and then maybe take some notes about some things that you may want to ponder on or journal on or anything like that. So, in this first one on shifting your mindset around beauty, I invite you in self-love practice number 1 to create daily affirmations or journal about what you love most about yourself. Unfortunately, we have this critical mind, right, that is always looking for what's wrong in things. It's supposed to keep us out of danger and keep us safe, blah, 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 all that stuff. And I understand, the mind very powerfully. However, that's why we call this a practice, because it's just like whether it be a meditation practice or a yoga practice or, a self pleasure practice, it's practicing, right? It's not a perfect. So every day attempting and working on retraining your brain. So for however many years you have had a specific mindset about what a beautiful woman is. And so now it's time, we've got to retrain the brain, retrain the mind. And in order to do that, you have to dedicate, consistently ideally on a daily basis in order to create a new way of being, especially around your body. So even if you're driving now, you don't have to write it down, but what do you love about yourself? Because again, that critical mind is trained to see what we don't love about ourselves, right? The focusing on the thing, like you think your nose is too big, or, your thigh, again, like, sharing where I was with my breasts were too small and my thighs were too big. So what's the thing? Choose one thing about yourself that you're like, you know what? That's pretty cool. Maybe you get a nice butt, right? Nice ass. Or, maybe you really love your hair. People constantly comment on your hair. It's nice and thick and long and curly or something. So what if you were to just start there, right? It may be a big, huge leap to just turn around and suddenly be like, oh, I love my body, you know? And I would encourage you to, if this is something, and I know this is where it started for me, is to, you know, take your clothes off and stand in front of a mirror. Make sure you can do this with privacy, lock the door or whatever, do it when nobody's home, and just really look at yourself. Wow, it's like, look how far you've come. It's amazing. And even if you do feel like you're a little rounder in certain places, right? What part of you can you express, right, the gratitude for? And that actually brings us into the second aspect, the second topic of healing your body shame and really beginning to love yourself. And that is to practice body gratitude. So that's really important. The importance of appreciating your body for what it does rather than how it looks. And some ways to build body gratitude is to really focus on, your strength, your health, and the functions of the body. So starting with, just think about this. Like our bodies, it's crazy to think about this, but you were born as a baby, and you were so tiny, right? Whatever, however many pounds you were, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 14 pounds at birth. And now you weigh whatever you weigh now. And like we've grown and we've stretched and we've changed, right? And we've transmuted all of these things. So just being able to be in that space of what your body does for you on a regular basis, instead of thinking like, oh, I wish I could, run faster or move or stretch deeper, any of these things, or hold that pose longer, instead of just being grateful. Because this is the deal with overall the practice of gratitude, a gratitude practice. The universe, spirit, source, God, goddess will not bring you more of something if you're not grateful for what you have already. So this is the deal, right? So imagine, maybe you're making excuses of why you're not moving your body on a daily basis, but what if you were so grateful for your body, you're like, yeah, I get to, like, this is my body, right? And start speaking kinder to it. So just imagine that your body is an entity of you. And if you're constantly speaking negative about it or complaining about it, being unkind about certain parts of your body, right? How do you think that makes your body feel? Your body is made up of 2/3 water, right? And words and thoughts are energy, and they affect how your body functions. Maybe you have health issues, and maybe what if by changing your point of view around how you see your body actually increases the efficiency of your health and starts to change things, right? I work with a lot of clients who have chronic issues, right? Chronic autoimmune and various things, thyroid issues, and and the emotional aspect is a huge part of us healing our body. So for our number 2 self-love practice, doing a body scan, or really any kind of a meditation, a guided meditation to connect and express gratitude for each part of your body. So really simple. I'm just going to take you through it very, very quickly, because I really do think that this is something that should be savored and not really rushed through. But, if you have the time, again, if you're not even if you're driving, just keep your eyes open and just take a moment and thank every part of your body. And just, you say something like this: I am so grateful for, repeat after me, My feet. Oh my goodness, my feet. Every day they get to take me from point A to point B. I'm so grateful for my legs. Right? So again, remember the energy around, let's say you don't like your legs, the shape of them, or maybe they're a little thicker than you'd like, right? So, but guess what? They get you from point A to point B. Can you be grateful for having legs that actually move, that can allow you to dance and exercise, do fitness, walk the dog, all of those things. So remember, when you send mixed messages to your body, it will it will start to show up in a way that is not in full, love and abundance for your actual physical vessel. So I am so grateful for, go ahead, repeat after me, whatever the thing is. But an easy way to do this, a quick body scan, is you can go from head to toe or from toe to head, toes to head, and just say, for my feet, for my legs, for my buttocks, right? My inner thighs, especially the parts of you that you don't quite love yet. I am so grateful for my belly, especially if you've given birth. My pelvic bowl, my vagina, right? And again, if you are a man and you're listening, right, your lingam. So, all of these things, it's really important. I'm so grateful for my breasts. I'm so grateful for my throat, my arms. You could even get into, your organs and your vessels and your glands as well, especially if you have dis-ease in your body in a very specific part of your body. And that will connect to chakras, the energy centers, right? There's 7 major chakras in the body, and each chakra runs from, root to crown, your root chakra, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye, as well as your crown chakra. And again, those are just the major chakras in the body. But each chakra represents a different aspect of us, a different part of our body. So notice if there's a part of your body that you're not grateful for, that you don't think you love, that you don't practice appreciation for, and if you have an illness or if you're out of balance in that gland or organ in that body, right? Just notice. So this practice can shift body perception. Absolutely. Over time, you will see that if you commit to doing that on a regular basis. Number 2, right? As we move into number 3, nourish your body with compassion. So I'm going to talk a little bit about your relationship with food here, how eating can either be an act of punishment / violence or self-care. What are you feeding your body? Are you feeding your body nourishing, right, nutrients, organic, whole foods, or are you feeding it a bunch of crap? Processed, right? Lots of bread, pasta. And again, there's definitely, if you make your own bread and if you know that it's organic and hasn't been sprayed with a whole bunch of chemicals, bread can be okay. But for the most part, things like that are all processed, bleached, enriched, right? All those things. So what are you feeding your body? Are you listening to your body? Are you practicing intuitive eating, right? And listening to your body's needs. Letting go of guilt and shame around food. Again, if you ever or have experience in eating disorder, right? Anorexia, bulimia, or just a plain food addiction. So ideally, in a perfect world, food is nutrition, right? Food is nourishment. Now, I have done, check out one of my podcasts. It's really powerful. It's called Mindful Eating, Heal Your Relationship with Food. So I encourage, if you haven't listened to that already, that you listen to that, especially if you're resonating with this key point here and you need more support around nourishing your body with compassion. So creating a self-love practice number 3, create a positive relationship with food by asking, How will this fuel and nourish my body? Whatever you're putting into it, whether it be, the latte from Starbucks, the donuts, the whatever. I don't know what your diet is like, but I would think about, how often is it nourishing your body without judgment. That's really important. Remember, all of this is about uncovering information and creating awareness around something that's been hidden in the shadows, right? No judgment. Don't do that. No judgy. Number 4, surround yourself with positive influences. The impact of social media, TV, if you still watch TV, anything with ads, and even just the underlying messages that come through in series and movies, as well as our friendships and coworkers, can play a huge role on body image. So perhaps detoxing yourself from social media, right? Follow body positive and empowering accounts if you are on the socials. Build a support network of people who uplift and respect your journey. Yeah, the sad story sometimes is this. Sometimes you do need to step away from relationships that are not serving you, right? If you don't feel, even your family, I hate to say that, but sometimes it's true. Sometimes you need to set really good boundaries with your mother, with your sister, with your grandmother, and say, listen, you know what? This has got to stop. People that are joking and go, haha, just kidding, right? The sarcasm, I grew up with that a lot growing up. I understand. And I got to a point where, it wasn't serving me anymore. And I needed to speak up. And I shared that with my family. So whatever it takes to step into your personal power and activate your sovereign divinity so that you can heal you, right? So again, self-love practice number 4, set boundaries with those who perpetrate body shame, friends, family, and even your partner. Number 5, engage in joyful, conscious movement. Exercise, right? Exercise, you don't have to do it, you get to do it. Remember, your beautiful body that you're so grateful for, at least we're going to work on that, is not like a car that you can trade in for a newer model. It doesn't work that way. And eventually it's going to start to break down if you don't move it. If you don't move it, you lose it. The strength, right? The flexibility, the muscle, it's our ability to function. And actually in exercise, not just the fact that it keeps you fit and trim, right? So you can look and feel better, but it's really about when you move your body in a conscious way, you actually produce all the feel-good hormones, serotonin, dopamine, maybe even oxytocin, right? They can keep us happy and joyful. So exercise, right? We want to shift our mindset around exercise from punishment to pleasure, right? You don't have to kick your ass like in a class for you to be fit. People often say to me, "Oh my God, you're so fit. You're so, you look so young. You're so tiny." And I don't kick my, I have worked out hard. I work hard. I work out smart. I do push myself, but not to the point of that it's painful, and not to the point of where I'm going to injure myself. And because my body has what we call muscle memory, right? And I focus on strength and flexibility, right? The yin and the yang, the stability and mobility. And I know how to work out because I was a personal trainer and used to certify personal trainers for many years. So I know how to work smarter and not always harder, but it is more efficient, right? So it's important to understand that you exercise, choosing something on a daily basis, right? Emphasizing movement that feels good to you. And don't focus so much on the changing of your appearance, but more on focusing, creating a stronger, more resilient body. And change your affirmation from I have to I get to, right? I get to move my body today. Thank God you have 2 legs and you have 2 arms, maybe, and you get to move your body. What about people who are in a wheelchair or bedridden and they literally can't move their body? Yeah. So connect into that space. So self-love practice number 5, try some different forms of movement: dance, yoga, Pilates, Qigong, mindful, brisk walking that feel joyful to you, right? Reframing exercise as a way to celebrate what your body can do, not a punishment. All right, moving on to number 6. Get to the root cause of the body shaming. This is, I was going to put it number 1, but I didn't want to scare you away. Most people aren't looking to get to the root cause of anything. But I will tell you that this is the most important one. Getting to the root cause of your lack of self-love for your body. Body shame can often stem from childhood experiences, societal conditioning, and or past trauma, especially sexual trauma. Family dynamics, media exposure, and or harmful comments can shape one's self-image, especially as a child. It's important to address underlying emotional wounds, trauma, and or limiting beliefs related to body image. This is the work that I do. Powerful, powerful work. Self-love practice number 6. Consider therapy or working with a trauma-informed coach like myself or somebody else. Energy work I have found to be very, very healing. Journaling to uncover and heal from these past traumas. There's lots of different ways, right? Notice what you're drawn to, what you're attracted to. Maybe find a book that has to do with body shaming and start by reading that. Healing trauma. And again, it doesn't have to be major trauma. It doesn't have to be sexual trauma. It could be micro traumas when you were a kid, or maybe, you had a family member that constantly teased you about your body. And maybe it wasn't even that you were overweight. It was just you feeling uncomfortable as you started to come into, the age, right? As a teenager, or maybe even younger, as your body started to change and you weren't comfortable about it. And maybe you didn't have somebody to talk to about it, depending on how conscious your parents were, especially your mother. So healing trauma can open the door to a deeper level of self-acceptance and self-love. Number 7, the final one. Create a body-loving ritual. Building routines that reinforce body love and pleasure every day, such as using organic skincare, essential oils, self-massage, or even dressing in clothes that make you feel good. How do they feel on your body? Silk or satin, organic cotton. The power of small, consistent acts of self-love on a daily basis will support you in shifting long-held negative beliefs about yourself and your beloved body. Self-love practice number 7. So I invite you to set aside time for a body appreciation ritual. Each day, each day, weekly, maybe a longer body appreciation ritual to connect with your body and affirm your gratitude for it. And its beauty. Daily routines can anchor and will anchor self-love and become a supportive, healing practice for you. Remember, the thing that we do every single day. The things that we do every single day are what drive our reality. So whether they're conscious or subconscious, right? So in conclusion to this powerful episode, I invite you to create a daily self-love routine. Yes, daily. Even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, it's about bringing awareness to this space of you, acknowledging your gratitude for yourself. You can create a weekly ritual that is longer, and I would encourage that you do that as well, at least 20 to 30 minutes weekly. So take a look again, take a listen again to this podcast. I highly recommend that you listen to it again. And then as you do that, take notes, have a journal. I invite you to have a journal all about your self-love journey, self-love practices that you can do, and write all of them down, and maybe put a star next to one or two of them that you might want to start doing on a daily basis, or take a whole bunch of them, put them into a ritual. So this is a part of the work that I do. The really powerful work I do with women is I support you in creating a personalized blueprint, right? A daily ritual that supports you in your healing, in your opening up your intuition, right? Activating your third eye, stepping in, teaching you how to step into your badass personal power and sovereignty, so that what? So that you can manifest a sexy, joyful life, right? What does that even look like? What would that look like for you? If you were to take the time every day, commit to a daily self-love practice ritual for yourself, I promise you, I guarantee you, right, that things will start to change in your world. Whatever aspect of your life, whether it's your health or your wealth or your personal purpose, like what is your purpose in life? Really stepping into that. Your relationships will change, right? When you change and transform the relationship with yourself, that changes everything in your world for the better. Yeah, sometimes people and things and habits will start to fall away, but that's only so that you can create more space for all the things that you ever dreamed of that you never thought you could have, right? So I want you to commit right now to me, to you. It's actually to you, not to me, but maybe you might want to say it out loud that you're committing to doing this daily self-love practice. The more you prioritize you and your body, the quicker you can manifest everything that you ever dreamed of that you never thought you could. And that is my promise to you. I am so grateful for you for showing up and for obviously listening. If you haven't already, I ask that you follow, subscribe to my channel, whether you're on Spotify or Apple or you're listening on YouTube, and maybe you share it with your friends and your loved ones. If you got something out of it, I'd love to hear from you. And if you are interested in working with me on a private level, and I work with clients all over the world, many galaxies and dimensions as well, and even on the astral plane. But if you are interested in finding out more about how you might be able to work with me, please feel free to reach out. Right, my website is victoriahaffer.com, and we can set up a complimentary discovery call to see how exciting it might be for us to play and explore together. So once again, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. And be and see the magic in everyday life. Victoria Haffer signing off.